Okay, this is my advanced water tutorial. If you want a more basic one, I highly recommend Ethos Labs. I'll link it in the thing. If you want to know why exactly, want to see demonstrations of exactly what kind of useful systems this can produce, then watch the demonstration videos that or the two I produced just before this, and they'll show you how you give you some ideas on the myriad of ways you can use these various principles. But I don't have time to be too basic in this video. So if you watched the previous videos, you'll recognize this as my spreader, which will quickly show you how it works. One source block, one piston floods this whole chamber, and you can take these terraces out infinitely as long as you have the vertical space. You can have to go down every 7 squares, obviously. Now, let's go with, there's the diamond shape water makes as it spreads out. You could make terraces this shape and take them out and flood an infinite thing, but the trouble is you'd have items all the way around the perimeter, and that's a problem, or mobs, if you want to collect them all, which is the main application of this kind of thing. So I don't recommend going any farther than this. You want to go to this end block here, and don't try to go off here because it's too short. You're going to run into problems. So go 7 squares from this square, and that's the end of your terrace. Now I'll show you a little more why. If I put these blocks back here, that'll work. That'll flood this whole thing, but it'll work just a little too well. As you notice, water's flowing down over here. It's flowing the wrong direction if you can see it well. If I throw items in here, and right place, some of them flow the wrong direction. Reason I can take off this front if I want to. I can't have this block here, but you could leave this out here if you wanted. I never put it here just because, why? But oftentimes I don't want it here because that means I can move this back to, because I need this to come out as 8. Water can't be flowing off the end here, otherwise it'll screw up this canal. So that's how and why I do everything there. But let's say you don't want that structure on the ground, you have hydration issues, you want to make it wider than that. As long as you have plenty of vertical space, you can make it as wide as you want, and you can have all of your terraces exactly the dimensions you want, as long as they're not over 7 long this way. So this is the vertical splitter. Water comes down here, splits into 4 streams, 1 on each side. Each step down, then each side, except for this back one, is equal distance from the source block, so it splits into 3 squares, creating 2 walls of water, 1 on each side of this stair structure here. This stair structure can be as big as the world is tall, and it'll still work. It'll spread it over the entire thing. So, and there's a lot of people doing things. I've seen a lot of videos with using water that, to me, just doing the hard way. You don't need a piston for every little stream. So it comes down. 1 stream falls on this side of this block here and flows this way. The other stream falls on this one. It hits this bar right here, splits into 2, flows into that chamber. Hits this, the other side hits this bar and flows back and back into that chamber. As it flows into this chamber, hits this bar, and flows into this chamber, and on the pattern can go. You can make it symmetrical so that each of these sides has a chamber coming off here. Over here you can see the collection trough for items or mobs or whatever you want coming off the side. You could build another one off here, connect them in the middle, and have everything end up at the same location, which is generally the whole point of a flooding system like this. So I've loaded it with some items so you can see how it works a little bit. Once again, very simple mechanics. Wire going to a piston that's powered on, and that turns it off for a minute. And where I had a lever before, I just have a pulse here because generally that just floods it just for plenty long enough. So you can see it spreading to all of that. You can see those items going toward there, falling down. Okay. Now let's look at this a little closer. This first stream thing using this back thing only needs to be one high. I don't know why you would want a one high terrace, but it can be too high. I usually make it too high just because I can get away with it. But otherwise, you need a total of 4 spaces per terrace, 1 for the dirt and 3 above it to split it, have the water flow in and out and back around. So you can do that as far as you want. Now there are some height limitations if you're going to use mobs. The nice thing is if you fall from water into water, then you you don't take any damage for like 30 or 40 squares. You can look that up, but you can, if this is mob, you can make it quite tall. But in that case, that's one of the reasons why you wouldn't want this vertical transport here in front of it. For mobs, Ethos on his basic water video has one that might work with stairs much better. It might work much better for mobs in general. But I also wanted to show you a problem with this, putting this right in front of here. There's a great item transport system. Transports it vertically for as far as you want. Look how far they shot off the end of here because it's ice. But you can't put it directly in front because of that mushroom right there. It shows items can get stuck here. If mobs are falling down and you're counting on the water to keep them from dying, then if they hit these squares, they can die there. But so you probably want to make it slope down just like it did there, right in front of your main flush structure. So quickly show you how items just zoom through here once they're in the stream though. Very good for that. So that's the basic of item transport. If this is mobs, it kind of helps if the sign here is on ice because they'll slide through it a little bit better. But mobs don't travel any faster in water flowing over ice than anything else, unlike this. This sign here can be either place you want it. You can post it to the side or you can put it in the middle. I recommend using a sign over anything else because signs have no collision other like you might think ladders might work, but they have collision boxes that'll stop things, cause problems. So signs are the best thing. If you don't have the sign here, then water flows back the other direction, so make sure to put a sign in between the end block here where the water stops from the previous one and the next source block. make that work. So this is the water system. Say I want to take water that's flowing down this trough. I've got a bunch of chambers, terraces below here I want to flood using really either of these systems, but they're not all together for some reason, like the demonstration in my previous video of my monster farm. So how to split these? Well, if you just split them any old place you want, and say have that flow down here, that'll work. The problem is if you reset this from the source, water stops flowing for any reason. Want to start again. Now the water is going to take the shortest path to the deep there, and not flow down here like you might want it to. So how do you split this and make it work? Well, the simplest way is to just go every 7 squares. So I've color coordinated them for you, each square, so you can see very quickly the stone is 1, grass is 2, iron's 3, cobblestone's 4, pine's 5, birch is 6, and redwood is 7. So I can split it here. I just have to go all the way to redwood before I drop down. Simple as that. Here we go. Well, we're already at redwood, so we can drop down. You do it that way, it'll work every time. It's not too hard to figure out. It just takes some planning. Say you want to drop it right here, well, you would just take it from back here and go all the way to redwood. So with some planning, you can take it anywhere you want, and do anything you want. Well, if you want to do something more advanced than that, then you can use the fact that water only scans 5 away. That's why I could get away with taking off the front of my spreader there. Also, the fact that if they're equal distance apart, you can take it 1 back from the 6th square in this design, for instance, and it'll work fine. And as long as you do it both directions here off this split the same, the water on this iron has just as far to go to get to a drop in both directions, so it'll still work. That's if you want to get more complicated, but I like to keep it simple. I figured I'd show you that. This is simple enough for me. Usually have plenty of room if I'm spreading it this way. Have a long trough to just take it off anywhere I want. There is a variation of the horizontal, the horizontal spreader. Just takes bits of it and sticks it in these corners. This is almost the exact setup I used for my flower farm. It's also used for different monster spawner type things. Plant a bunch of flowers here. Show you how it moves either items or mobs. Okay. Alright. And just punch it a whole bunch of times so the water keeps flowing a bit. You'll notice that everything on this left side flowed this to this one square. I'll talk about those in just a second. But everything on this side flowed to this one square. Well, these kind of got dispersed. That's why you put the wall here. You put the wall here, just let's see the pattern one more time. See, that's the empty square. So kitty cornering that, take it to the wall. This doesn't have to be 3, it just has to be even like that, so the water has just as far to go to get to each drop off. And it can't be over 7 big. This space in here is important. It must be an even number. An odd number. Ethos demonstrates why that's important a little bit better. It's kind of counterintuitive based on him. I would think that this would be an odd number, but you don't want that corner thing, them both flowing together like he demonstrates with water flowing channels that join each other and stuff. He does, if you want to join 2 different streams of water, you can do it with the sines and ice, or you can do it his way. They both work fine. I'll let you look up that for joining streams of water. Good information there. But you want that dead spot in the middle, because in this example, that dead spot is not going to be flowing one way or the other. It's going to be flowing this direction. So, pretty simple, straightforward. I'll just very quickly demonstrate how the kill box in our monster spawner that we demonstrated, monster farm, is a smaller version of this. Notice 1 space in between, so that's an odd number, so it's going to work. Give it just a little more room. Okay, put 2 source blocks here. Alright, and we'll keep the same thing so you can recognize it. Good. Okay, that's pretty much what's going on there. Make that look. That's the kill box, that's the way it looks. If I jump into this thing, I flow to here, no matter what square I'm in. These corners, items, and monsters don't get stuck in. They just come right out. So a lot of people use this in a lot of demonstrations, a lot of farms, but they don't always explain exactly why it works this way. Okay, so finally we'll do up item transport. Just loading this dispenser here. So we have items to transport going into here. This dispenser and the wire going to it are completely unnecessary. You can get items in this trough however you want, namely these other structures is what I was thinking of. But you know, you could just throw them in if you want to transport them up to your buddy or something. So let's just quickly demonstrate how this works. Alright, so now I'm going to break it to show you how not to do it, why it works this way. Alright. So, as you can see, things are flowing back the other direction. That's because water from this source block is flowing down that hole, with the piston there. Because it's retracted, there's a hole here and it's flowing back, just like if the sign wasn't there. And they're getting stuck right there. So if you turn it up and they're shoved this way, then they're right there ready to go in as soon as that drops, before the water drops on them. When the water drops on them, you have just a few moments, because items move very slowly in what Ethos calls the stream source block that then becomes. That's why items were moving very slowly, getting stuck in these corners. They would have eventually flowed out, but they're not on ice, so it's even slower. And those flowers that were getting stuck there, they would eventually get to this square, but because that particular block moves so slowly, it doesn't, it takes a while. So you need to pulse this pretty rapidly. So the circuitry to do it is pretty simple. It's 2 relays with one with maxed out at 4 ticks, another with 2 ticks, so total of 6, the way we count it anyway, and wire coming to this redstone torch. This redstone torch can't be in front, you can't wrap it around, it has to be at a 90-degree angle to the side here. So make it look exactly like this, and the timing will be right. And take it. Now we could put these torches, one torch right here, and just wires going to these if we want. We don't have to use redstone torches, but you do have to reverse the polarity before the pistons there in order for it to work. So just quickly power that, and it'll pulse exactly right to power them up as quickly as possible, at least according to our experiments. If you have any improvements, you can go up every 3 squares. So this square raises, it goes up a solid square, and then it goes up another square, and you could build another one right here, not have this long trough, but I thought it was good to show, good for vision here. That's one of my experiments trying to get here. I've never actually applied this to anything, I just barely figured it out, so maybe you'll get to install yours in some kind of application before I do mine. Alright, that's my advanced water tutorial. I thought it all fit together. You can see the problem with this and how to solve it based on, you know, the problem with the signs, and the problems with what's going on here. Helps you hopefully put it all together. Water, as Ethos says, is the most complicated block on here. But because of that, you can use it to find very simple solutions to do pretty complicated things with very few resources.